Here it is, the all-new Mahindra Scorpio Z8T in this all-black trim termed as Carbon Edition. This is one of the kind of its car. In fact, this is the first video on this beast you'll ever see on the internet today. This true big daddy of SUVs from Mahindra leads the segment in terms of its size, features, capabilities and sale numbers. From design to power, from tech to comfort, this SUV promises a lot. But the real question is, does it live up to the hype or is it just style on paper? So I'm at this beach to find out what this big daddy of SUV can really do. So buckle up, let's find it out. The facelift of the Scorpio N came with ADAS in the top end variant Z8L, but this Z8T doesn't have ADAS. Essentially, while carrying the rest of the other premium features exactly identical to the Z8L, this Z8T making this car a proper top of the line variant driver's car. Come on, who needs ADAS? Under the hood sits the same trusted 2.2 litre mHawk turbo diesel engine from Mahindra. I'll put the numbers over here. These numbers are also differently tuned for another Mahindra cars like the Thar Rox or Mahindra 700, XUV 700 or 3-door itself. Mine's a manual, so you know how the man and machine connects. And you can see the engine is mounted vertically, which automatically makes this car a rear wheel drive by default. And the best part here is, this one has a proper 4x4 system to it. And Mahindra terms this as a 4Explore, fancy term. And best part is, this thing separates the Scorpio N from wannabe SUVs out here. If you guessed it, comment it down below. After the engine bay, we'll check on the looks. And the first interesting thing here is the 18-inch blacked out alloys. In the Carbon Edition, it's a great addition in terms of looks and as well as practicality. In the normal variant, you get a chrome alloys, which is not a good looking for my opinion and not in practicality maintenance as well. Since all these wheels have 4 disc brakes, it produces wheel dust a lot, I mean brake dust. So it's hard to clean and hard to maintain as well. But in this blacked out alloys, the wheel dust or the brake dust just camouflages itself. The ground clearance of this car is 205 mm, and this Scorpio N sits in the full size SUV segment with measuring over the length of 4.6 meter and with a wheelbase of 2.7 meter, with a height of 1.9 meter and with the width 1.8 meter. While the numbers doesn't do any justice, but in real this thing looks massive. In the front, you get a 6-slot chrome grille which is darkened out, a projector headlight setup and the 2 parking sensors and a neatly tucked in front camera, which I will talk about later. You get this side step inbuilt with this car in the top end and it doesn't come with the base variant. This comes handy in some situations for elder people and sometimes for me as well. You get this roof rails which adds to the SUV profile as well as it's practical. In the rear, you get extra 2 parking sensors, a Scorpio N badging, a 4Explore badging and a reverse camera. You get a stepney even below the car, and the good thing here, you get a keyless entry for the boot door. But the sad thing, you still have to open the boot this way, which is still inconvenient and not practical enough in city use. Overall, this Scorpio N looks like it's gonna attend the black tie party and still manages to wrestle in the mud. Basically, this is your friendly neighborhood mafia car.
Let's start with the rear boot space. The boot door itself feels a little tricky to open, and with all 3 rows up, the space you get is very small. Yes, you can fold the 3rd row, but unlike the XUV 700, it doesn't sit flush with the floor. That leaves a big hump from the folded seats, though it still makes the space a lot more usable. Now, speaking of the 3rd row, honestly, there is no real comfort back there. No AC vents, very little headroom, and you will feel cramped on longer drives. On the positive side, the tools are neatly organized and tucked in, which is a nice one.
Second row, much comfortable, good ergonomic seating and great comfort. So instead of a Thar Rox rear window 60/40 split, this one has a full size window. It's actually good for visibility.
you get a dedicated AC vents with blower control. And right next to it, it is a new addition, a 65-watt Type-C port for fast charging. Before hopping into the front row, I actually came across people catching crabs by digging the sand. And you know what? It instantly reminded me of the Scorpion. Crabs might dig into the sand, but a scorpion owns the sand. And here, this Big Daddy Scorpion is doing exactly that, running through the beach sand with ease. And just like the scorpion rules the sand outside, let's step inside and see how the front row of the Scorpio N feels. Up front, you get keyless entry, a start-stop button, headlight leveler, parking sensor switch, and a proper dead pedal. The driver's seat is electric with lumbar support. The ORVMs are powered, and there is an auto-dimming IRVM for night drives. An 8-inch infotainment screen sits in the middle. Not huge, but works fine with Adrenox connectivity. Dual-zone climate control, front and rear cameras, a wireless charging pad with active cooling, all added to the comfort. What's missing? No Type-C port in the front and no fancy drive modes either. A big update here is the electronic parking brake with auto hold function, exclusive to the Z8T and Z8L. The instrument cluster is partly digital, which means you still have that classic analog feel with modern touches.
Thank you Mahindra for not going fully digital. It just feels right.
The 4 Explore knob to select terrain modes and engage the 4x4 system. We'll dive deeper into that when we talk about the driving and off-road part. And finally, the Sony 3D surround sound system. Switch it to Immersive 3D, crank up the volume, and you'll forget that you are in a SUV.
That honestly my second favorite feature of this car after the 4x4 system.
Here comes the auto start-stop system.
It's extremely useless, irritating and annoying. I get it. It's there for some purpose to solve some regulation norms. But why there is a no permanently fix for that solution? Why there is no permanently button to switch it off? It starts on every ignition cycle. The only permanent fix here is take a tissue paper and shape it like this and wedge into the slot between this. Crazy, but it works. And you got yourself a cabin that feels both premium and tough. Now, let's get into the mechanicals. The Scorpion is still a ladder frame SUV, meaning it's built like a truck on 2 rails with body mounted above. That's why it feels robust. The engine drives the rear wheels first, which is why it has that natural balance to it. Suspension is where it gets interesting. At the rear, you get a pentalink suspension with Watts linkage, something rare in a ladder frame SUV. It keeps the rear axle planted and stable. At the front, you got the double wishbone at the front, as usual the other blade around frame SUVs. Together, they make the Scorpion much more comfortable than the old one. And because this one is the manual, you get full control. Add the 4x4 transfer case to it and suddenly it's no longer just a big SUV. It's a mechanical playground. Speaking of that, the 4 Explore system. It's controlled by a rotary knob for terrain modes and a button to shift between 4 high and 4 low as well. 4 high is what I use right here on this beach sand. It keeps the momentum and prevents you from digging in. And 4 low is for crawling up steep inclines or slush, which I demonstrated in a perfect fit fully video over this trial, which I'll next put into here. Alright, I'm gonna start driving. Always buckle up your seat belts, and I'm gonna switch down the fan a little bit. And currently I'm on a normal mode, rear wheel drive. So in a wet sand right now, I don't think this car can move from here. See, this can, as you can see, this is locked. Let's switch it to 4 low, and this one is sun mode. Let's start. So it's easily going. Going easy. So since I'm in 4 low, I'm not gonna rev it after 2,500 RPM. We are gonna make it a small turn here. This is the hardest part, since as you can see, The beach sand is kind of wet right now, so the SUV of this weight doesn't gonna easily turn here. There's a chance that it gonna get stuck, but let's hope for the best. I'm having people around here for help in case of any stuck. Alright, let's get little bit into the show. Yeah, see, you have to gradually raise the pedal in follow, otherwise it's not gonna best for the car or the gearbox or the transfer case. Gradually increase the power. We are gonna climb up there, little bit of extra momentum. Yeah, easy. Yeah. So this is where the front camera gets really useful. See, as you can see where your wheels are. This is the reverse one. Bear that in mind, I am in sand mode as well as 4 low. So I'll demonstrate where we want to use the 4 high. In some cases, 4 high is best. Like, let's try 4 high here. So it's take its own time to switch to 4 high. Onto first gear, rear diff lock engaged. Yes. In 4 high we can cruise as we could normally. I'm braving it. See, easy. So bear in mind, the traction control is automatically switched off. With this momentum, I'm gonna crawl this. The car is pushing it hard. Alright, we have made it. So this much of off-roading has to be done to get into the view like this. Beautiful, isn't it? That's my friend over there shooting the B-rolls of the car. Why do you need a 4x4 SUV? Because a rear wheel drive SUV, especially one this heavy, will spin wheels and get stuck into sand or mud. Also, on the roads like the highways, it easily loses traction, even though it has electronic stability program or traction control built to the safety system of this car. The 4x4 simply fixes that mechanically. But let's be honest, the Scorpion is long, heavy, and it's not going to match a Wrangler, Jimny or a 3-door Thar in hardcore trails. Still, for a big family SUV, it's impressive, and if you want to see a detailed 4x4 breakdown of a SUV, check out my video on the monster pickup, the Toyota LX, by clicking in the top right corner here. And now, let's talk about the driving. Sitting behind the wheel, the view is commanding. The electric steering, which is light at low speeds, which is a massive comfort upgrade and weighs up nicely in the highways like this. The front camera is a real clutch most of the time. Because with the tall seating, it's hard to see what's right below in front of you. I wish it came with a 360-degree camera, but unfortunately it doesn't. Honestly, I'm okay with that. The engine refinement is solid and body roll is well controlled and vibrations are well controlled too. It carries that big daddy character that Mahindra keeps advertising. Official ARAI claims fuel efficiency is a bit higher, but in real world, I'm getting 14 to 16 km per liter on average. which is pretty good for a good SUV of this size. Safety is top notch. 6 airbags, ESP, traction control, hill hold, hill descent control, and a 5-star global NCAP rating. This is easily the safest laid on frame SUV in India right now below 30 lakhs. Not everything is perfect. The headlights, 4th row, 4th spread, definitely a weak point. I also wish it had a panoramic sunroof, though not a deal breaker. The 3rd row AC is missing, which is odd for a car this big. No drive modes like the zip, zap or zoom in the 4x4 system. Instead, you get terrain modes like the mud, gravel, snow as I demonstrated earlier. And if you quickly shift into reverse after starting the car, the display malfunctions with a tiny layout for the rear camera, which is a bit annoying. The ventilated seats are not very effective. I can barely feel any cooling even on high fan speed settings. The temperature right now is 35 degrees out here and it's not useful. So what's the point of having ventilated seats if it's not even working on 35 degrees itself? Wireless charging is there just simply existing as a storage space. It heats up the phone even though it has an active cooling built to it. Barely it charges the phone. Apart from these issues, everything else feels more premium in it. It's the kind of vehicle that doesn't just move you, it makes you feel like you can move anything. And here where I stand. This Scorpio N is brand new and hardly done 2000 kilometers in the odo. It just feels honestly great. Competitors, I don't want to call out names either because none of them have a proper 4x4 system in it. So that doesn't count. This SUV is among the top 5 most selling SUVs in India and for a good reason. It's a well-engineered, well-built, well-visioned, a true body-on-frame Indian SUV which nicely blends with the modern safety and tech while maintaining the all old-school rugged toughness. This one doesn't have ADAS, but it still has the character of the lion, strength of the elephant while maintaining the heart of the Indian off-roader. So, would you pick the Scorpio N or just stick with the soft-roader? Would you pick over sunroof over 4x4s? Comment down below. I'm Rajarajan. For me, I'm just enjoying every bit here. More drives, more adventures and more testing coming up. So hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.